the heart of a fragmented Europe, one man dared to dream of a united German nation, not through pleas or parliaments, but through a policy of cold, hard steel. This is the story of Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor, who single-handedly redrew the map of Europe and forged an empire with blood and iron. For centuries, what we now call Germany was a chaotic patchwork of over 30 independent states, all loosely connected in the German Confederation, dominated by the Austrian Empire. The dream of a unified Germany felt like just that, a dream. But in Prussia, the most powerful of the northern German states, a new king, Wilhelm I, ascended the throne in 1861. He had ambitions. He wanted to strengthen his army, but the liberal parliament refused to fund it. The government was deadlocked. The king was on the verge of abdication. In his moment of desperation, he summoned a man known for his staunch conservatism and ruthless pragmatism. Otto von Bismarck. Bismarck wasn't a man of ideals. He was a man of action, a master of realpolitik, political philosophy where practical concerns outweigh moral or ideological ones. Upon becoming minister-president of Prussia, he faced the defiant parliament and delivered one of the most famous speeches in history. He declared, "The great questions of the day will not be decided by speeches and majority decisions, but by iron and blood." He bypassed the parliament, collected the taxes anyway, and began building the Prussian army into the most formidable fighting force in Europe. His goal was clear: to unite Germany under Prussian leadership, and he was willing to provoke wars to achieve it. Austria, the traditional leader of the German states, was the primary obstacle. Bismarck knew a direct confrontation was inevitable, but he needed the right excuse and the perfect moment to strike. The first move in Bismarck's grand chess game came in 1864 with the Second Schleswig War. The duchies of Schleswig and Holstein, ethnically German but ruled by the Danish king, were a flashpoint of nationalist sentiment. Bismarck cleverly formed an alliance with his rival, Austria, to liberate these territories from Denmark. The combined Prussian and Austrian forces made quick work of the Danish army, but the victory was just a means to an end. After the war, the administration of the newly acquired duchies became a source of constant friction between Prussia and Austria. Bismarck had engineered the perfect trap. He intentionally created a dispute that he could escalate whenever he chose. While Austria believed they were partners, Bismarck was already preparing for the next, much larger conflict. He was setting the stage to remove Austria from German affairs once and for all. With the conflict with Austria brewing, Bismarck embarked on a diplomatic mass. He knew he needed to isolate his enemy. He met with French Emperor Napoleon III, securing a vague promise of neutrality, hinting at possible territorial gains for France in exchange. He then forged a crucial alliance with the newly formed Kingdom of Italy, promising them the Austrian-controlled region of Venetia if they joined Prussia in a war. By 1866, Bismarck was ready. He provoked Austria over the administration of Schleswig-Holstein, leading Austria to declare war. The Austro-Prussian War, also known as the 7 Weeks' War, was a stunning display of Prussian military might, utilizing superior rifles, better training, and the strategic genius of General von Moltke. The Prussian army crushed the Austrians at the decisive Battle of Sedan. The war was over in less than 2 months. Bismarck's genius wasn't just in winning the war, but in making the peace. Against the wishes of his king and generals who wanted to march on Vienna and annex Austrian territory, Bismarck insisted on a lenient peace. He understood that a humiliated Austria could become a future enemy seeking revenge. Instead, he simply dissolved the old German Confederation and kicked Austria out of German affairs for good. In its place, he created the North German Confederation, a new federal state with all the northern German states united under Prussian leadership. He had consolidated his power base. He had proven Prussia's dominance. Now, only one major piece remained on the board: the southern German states and their powerful protector, France. France, under Napoleon III, watched Prussia's rapid rise with growing alarm. The balance of power in Europe was shifting, and not in France's favor. Bismarck knew that a war with France was necessary to ignite the fires of German nationalism and bring the reluctant southern states, like Bavaria and Württemberg, into the fold. They were Catholic and traditionally skeptical of Protestant Prussia, but they feared French aggression more. Once again, Bismarck needed an excuse, a spark, to light the powder keg. It came in 1870 with a dispute over the Spanish throne. A German prince was offered the crown, which the French saw as an unacceptable expansion of Prussian influence. Tensions flared. The French ambassador met with King Wilhelm of Prussia, demanding he promise that a Hohenzollern prince would never again be a candidate for the Spanish throne. The king politely refused the demand and sent a telegram to Bismarck detailing the encounter. This was the moment Bismarck had been waiting for. He took the king's telegram and edited it, not by changing the words, but by shortening it to make it sound far more abrupt and insulting. The original message was diplomatic. The edited version, known as the Ems Dispatch, made it seem as if the French ambassador had been rudely dismissed by the Prussian king, and that the king had insulted France. Bismarck released his doctored telegram to the press. The effect was electric. In Paris, crowds took to the streets demanding war. In Germany, the perceived French insult stirred a wave of patriotic fury. Napoleon III, pressured by his public and his government, declared war on Prussia. He had walked right into Bismarck's trap. The Franco-Prussian War was an even greater triumph for Prussia than the war against Austria. The southern German states, seeing France as the aggressor, immediately sided with Prussia. The combined German armies were efficient, modern, and brilliantly led. They swiftly encircled the main French force at the Battle of Sedan, capturing Emperor Napoleon III himself. The war was effectively over. The German victory was total. In the wave of nationalist euphoria that swept through all the German states, the southern princes agreed to join the new German Empire. On January 18, 1871, in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Este, historic heart of French power, Wilhelm the First was proclaimed German emperor. It was a calculated act of ultimate humiliation for France and the glorious birth of a new nation. Bismarck's dream was realized. Germany was united. Bismarck, now the first chancellor of the German Empire, had achieved his life's work. For the next 2 decades, he would work to preserve the empire he had built, masterfully navigating the complex web of European alliances to maintain peace. His legacy is complex. He was an authoritarian who distrusted democracy, yet he introduced some of the world's first social welfare programs. He was a master of war who spent his later years as a champion of peace. But above all, he was the architect of modern Germany, a man whose ambition, cunning, and ruthless determination forever changed the course of European and world history. The German Empire he created would dominate the continent for nearly 50 years, setting the stage for the conflicts of the 20th century.